Hello everyone, my name is Veda Javalagi and
I'm Anna Khan.
we were going to be the co-hosts for the Women in STEM webinar. We're going to go ahead and move on into the Zoom etiquette and introducing the panelists, so y'all have a feel of who we'll be working with.
Okay, so today everyone just please, if you're not a speaker, just keep your mic muted at all times unless we request otherwise. The questions that you guys will be able to ask will be for the last 45 minutes of the meeting. So just keep those for in the chat when we do have that time period and just wait patiently throughout our questions. Can you in the next slide, Veda? Okay, so now I'll just introduce everyone. They can wave at the camera. So we have Ms. Musani, who's the Master Data Strategy and Integration Director at C3I Solutions. And she also was the former robotics mentor for our team. We have Ms. Nechev, who is a computer engineering student at Rice University. She's also a representative for the SWISE Club and the SEDS Club at Rice. And she also is the rover project lead for the NASA robotics mining competition. We also have Arushi, who is a robotics member, and she's the president. And she also was a first technology competition alumni member. We have Ms. Walker, who's the girls STEM Pathway Program Coordinator at Space Center Houston. And we have Mrs. Milan, who is the software lead architect at Nalco Water. So yeah, this will be, we'll have that at the end. Veda, could you close the presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'll just go through, well, I'll tell each speaker to just provide some background information and speak about themselves. So can we start with Ms. Nechev?
Hi, my name is Isabella Nachev. I'm a sophomore computer science and engineering major at Rice University, and I'm a member of the Rice chapter of SEDS and SWISE, which for those of you who don't know, are the Society for Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, and the Society of Women in the Exploration of Space. And as a member of these two organizations, I am the leader of the NASA Robotic Mining Rover project, which we're planning on competing not this year, but next year, so in May 2020.
Okay, Mrs. Milan, could you go ahead?
Hello, everybody. My name is Amelia Mijan. I'm an electronic engineer. I work for Nalco Water in Sugar Land, Texas. I'm the software lead architect. I have 26 years of experience with digital transformation products. Our company is the world leader provider of chemical products for water treatment and process improvements. In my specific case, I work for the downstream for everything that is oil and gas industry.
Arushi, can you go next?
Yeah, Arushi.
Okay, hi, my name is Arushi. I am the team president of the Seven Lakes High School Robotics Club, and I've been in the first robotics program for the last 7 years. Yeah, and I'm a high school senior right now.
Okay, Ms. Walker.
Hi, my name is Catherine Walker. I'm the STEM Pathway Programs Coordinator at Space Center Houston, which is a museum over here in Houston, Texas, right across the street from NASA. People confuse us with Johnson Space Center, but I always have to correct people that we are Space Center Houston. I have my degree in education, early childhood through the 8th grade with a specifics in science, and I've been doing this for about 3 or 4 years now, and I love it.
And Ms. Musani. Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Nirmala Musani, and also known as Mrs. Mom for the team. I've been with the team for 4 years, I guess, and maybe I just participated for the last 3 years. And I'm an instrumentation engineering basically from Bangalore University. But when I moved my jobs, I ended up in software development and the life cycle for the pharma company. So my company, actual company is C3I Solutions, which is a service provider for the customer engagement for pharma healthcare industry. And I work for Merck Pharmaceuticals. I've been with Merck for 15 years now as a contractor. So we do launch the products, the new products that is being approved, that goes into market, and everything dealing with the products and the prescriptions, you name it, you have the data for the healthcare. So that's what I do for my living as of now. But apart from that, I just do a little bit of my own uh, technology studies that I do just for my own knowledge. I just do some off projects at home.
So we're going to transition into the questions. And right off the bat, we wanted to know what first introduced you to STEM and how did you realize you wanted to pursue a career in the field? So this is just a broad question to the group. So
I can start if you want. So in my particular case, first I have two older sisters who are also in the engineering field. They're both engineers. So that was a big influence on me. But when I was in high school, I took a class, in a physics class in what could be like my junior year, high school in my home country in Venezuela. It's a little bit different than here. But when I took that class, a physics class, we started studying electric circuits and electric topology. And that really, I don't know, I fell in love with that area. And that's why I went to pursue an electronics engineering degree. And actually, when you get into the job market, things are a little bit different than what you are thinking, what you're planning to do. So I ended up working in software development and database management. That's what I'm doing now. But that's how I fell in love with STEM through that physics class in my junior year in high school.
I can go next. I got into STEM. I was introduced to STEM my senior year of high school. I took a pharmacology class. It was a new school, class that they were introducing to us seniors at the time, and I kind of fell in love with it. I actually began my educational journey past high school wanting to be a nuclear pharmacist. So I started off as a chemistry degree. And then I realized because I was doing jobs that were not in STEM, I was doing a lot of educational jobs. I would tutor kids at the college. I was doing student teaching. So basically I was helping the teachers with their students and making sure that they knew their pharmacy stuff before they would go in. And I kind of realized, hey, I want to get out of this and go into teaching kids how to do better in school when it comes to STEM learning. And so that's kind of how I got into now helping students who are in underserved, unrepresented areas of STEM, seeing where they can see themselves in STEM careers.
That's really cool. Arushi, I know you started robotics very early on. So do you know what inspired you at such a young age?
Well, I started robotics in 7th grade, so I kind of just joined the team because all my friends were joining and we thought it was really cool. But then after I joined First Robotics, I fell in love with it like completely, and that's why I've been doing it up until now. First is like it has all different aspects of STEM. Like it's not just like we're building a robot. Like there's this larger sense of community in STEM. We got to go to these huge competitions as well, compete with our robots, meet other people, meet like NASA engineers, meet experts in the field and talk with them. So I had a lot of fun being part of the program for all these years. And that's kind of why I stayed as well. And then now as president of the team, it's really great to just give back to the team that really helped me form into the person I was. So that's why I stayed at first.
Mrs. Nacho, I know you are studying space right now. So what drew you to that area?
I've always really liked space as a kid. I used to like go out at night and like stargaze in the backyard, and I would watch like the lunar eclipses at like 2 a.m. And so when I came to Rice, I actually accidentally stumbled upon SEDS, and I saw them at a little club fair that we had during orientation week. And they were giving out like little stickers with the NASA logo, and I was like, I have found my people. So through them, I've learned about like so many great, interesting projects, and I get to lead one now. So very exciting. And when I was growing up, my mom was actually a computer scientist as well. So she kind of helped steer me towards engineering is this really cool thing. And I started taking computer science and engineering courses in high school. And so I came to Rice because of the great engineering program. And I found a great use for my engineering. So.
I'll go the next one. So, back in India, when we were supposed to decide our future path, it is your 10th grade. You decide whether you want to take math, physics, chemistry as your major. That goes into either your engineering or commerce field, whatever the math field you need. Or if you want sciences, then you have to take biology if you want to go in like a medical field or any of the other fields you have, the sciences. So 10th grade is when I decided I need to go with math because one of my cousin who used to live with us, and he used to tutor me in mathematics every day. So he inspired me a lot, and he went into the engineering school, and then that's what I said, like, okay, maybe like it's cool thing that I can go in. So 11th and 12th, I decided to pick up math, physics, and chemistry as my major. And I have no choice just getting into engineering because I never liked the other bachelor's degrees that were out there. So I completely moved into a different state with new language, which I grew up with because my mom used to speak that. So it was new, everything is new, the culture is new for me. It was like a metropolitan city, Bangalore, and I was like from a small hometown. I need to pick up everything. So I said, like, okay, I need to get in. Then I asked for computer science as my major in engineering. They said, like, maybe try first year instrumentation, then we'll go figure out in second year because you have to declare, you can move until your first year is your common subjects. Then second year is when you move into your actual major engineering field. So once I did my first year, then I said, like, nah, I like more of this mechanical and wiring stuff. So I said, like, I'm keeping my instrumentation. So that's when I just finished up, and I was like, I need job in instrumentation. But then I ended up in IT, like the software development stuff. And everything from day one is what my job hands-on learning that I did. So nothing was from my background engineering that I do right now. So the only thing is that you need to have a passion of what you want to do. And you need to again see for your living, you need to have a paycheck too. So you have to balance both of those and work out whichever comes in your way, just keep learning. So the more I learned in the past 3 years with Robust Spartans in the Bay is the best learning thing that I had in my 30 years of my job experience. So I really thank you, all the mentors that they were there teaching me, oh, you need to drill the hole this way. I was like, okay. So that was a fun part I had for the past 3 years. So now I'm like moved to back to my Philadelphia now. So I'm trying to see if I can set up a STEM group that I can run for like underprivileged kids here in the local schools. So I'm trying to set up something probably for the summer 2021.
All right, moving on to the next question. Did you guys face any obstacles over the years, maybe while studying or even in your career now? And what kept you motivated through your journey?
Let me go again then. Kept motivating is like you have passion to learn is what you need in any of the job you go, any of the field you want to be in. You are ready to learn from anybody, whether it's a 7-year-old or a 17-year-old, 70-year-old, whatever the age group you are in. You still need to have the passion of asking questions and learning. So the more you ask questions, it can be a dumb question. I literally asked dumb questions to my kids. I said, like, what are you guys talking? So if I don't know, I need to learn. So that's the only thing that you need to come up and say, no hesitation, just ask question, learn from what you have around yourself. That's it.
I can go next.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Some of my biggest challenges that I dealt with that I actually like to call opportunities now, because I've realized that a lot of challenges gave me opportunity to grow upon myself. So when I'm talking to my kids about things, obstacles they may have, I say, this is your opportunity to see if you're going to be resilient. What can you learn about yourself through it? What can you learn about your interaction with that person, things of that nature. But a lot of my issues I had was trying to debate with myself on, am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for my parents? Am I doing this because it's a passion of mine? That was a big issue I had going into college. Because I was one of those kids, I was like, oh, I know that I want to be a pharmacist. And then midway into chemistry, I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? I don't have the same passion or the same drive like my fellow students that were around me. I feel like everybody else was like, oh yeah, I get it. I got this. And I was just kind of like, what's happening? Like, what do you mean? What is this? I kind of get it. And so I had to make a switch of saying, yes, this may have seemed like a passion of mine before, but now that I'm in it, it's not something I want to do. And I had to be okay with saying, I now need to figure out what's the next step. I can't stop. I can't just stop in my tracks because I have to keep going. So for myself, that's when I talked about going into education, because I was like, okay, what is it that I've been doing this whole time that's been in my face that I have a strength in? So both of my parents are educators. My mom is a professor. My dad teaches for the fire department of Houston. And I kept telling myself, I'm not going to go into education. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And then here I am in the education field. And so a lot of those obstacles is really just about like overcoming my self-doubt and really honing in on what my real passion is. It not necessarily the thing that made me the most money. I realized that was not going to keep me happy. For myself personally, I had to find something that I was going to enjoy every day. Like I work at a nonprofit museum. If you know anything about museum education, we don't make a whole lot of money, but being able to see those kids' faces light up because I introduced them to a new scientific project that they had no idea they could do with materials from their home, especially in the middle of a pandemic, that enlightens my passion. So that would kind of be my advice along those lines of like what I felt were setbacks then, but are not setbacks. They've helped me to kind of push my way through into my profession.
Yeah, I feel like those struggles at the beginning that you mentioned, deciding what you want to do when you grow up, are really synonymous with a lot of high school students as well.
I guess I could talk a bit to that as well. I think one of the biggest obstacles I faced, I guess, in my STEM journey was actually leadership. I ran for like build director my junior year of robotics. And so I got the position and I was like, okay, I'm excited. Like, let's do this. But it was a lot more overwhelming than I thought. And I was really, really young. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And I had to manage, like, our team has like over 100 members now, so it was a lot and really, really intimidating for me to do. But I think through that, I definitely agree with what was said previously. Like, it really helped me like develop leadership skills to begin with, which I don't think I had great ones in beforehand. And now I think like I'm ready to take on anything for my team and just, I guess, work towards things with them rather than against them, because I think we had a lot of conflict last season as well. And then also, like Miss Mom mentioned, like Normal Spartans have taught me so much about hands-on learning as well as um, presentation skills, stuff like that. So I really am thankful for having amazing mentors on our team and just having a great time with my members as well. So I think that was biggest obstacle, but my team helped me overcome it.
I wanted to also mention a little bit about my experience. When I started working in my very first job, 25, 26 years ago, back in Venezuela, I had to travel a lot because I was a field service engineer. So I had to go to many different countries, many different type of industries to do, to work with this specific software that I was working at the moment. And it was hard sometimes. It was really hard in some countries that are really conservative countries, really, you know, led by men mostly. And it was hard for a woman to go into some of these plants. I had many experiences. Um, things like going to a plant where there wasn't even facilities for women to go to the restroom, as simple as that, something as basic as that. I had to wait until noon or the end of the day to go to the administration building just to be able to go to the bathroom. So that type of things. I think nowadays that has improved a lot. You know, uh, we women are now working in every field out there, every area. So it's, I think the world is changing in that sense. But that was one of my main obstacles at first. I had to work with some customers who were not used to work with women. Um, so it was really hard, but it was a great experience. And you have to be patient, you have to be respectful, and be able to tell them what you think, and don't ever be afraid to ask questions. I agree with Mr. Mala when she talked about there are no dumb questions. Always ask. Always, if you don't know, don't be afraid to say it. Right? I don't know. Please explain again. Please tell me, and just you know, be able to I think to make people respect you. And respect them as well, of course.
That transitions into our next question. We were wondering, how have your experiences as a woman in STEM changed over the years, and how?
Well, I don't know if I can go go ahead, but it has changed a lot. There's still a lot to do, but yeah, people are more, at least because my field is really industrial, right? I have to work with mostly oil and gas industries, but I also work in food and beverage plants. So I had to work in the plant, in the control rooms. And like I said, it was hard at the beginning. It was weird to see, for example, a 7-month pregnant woman in the field in room WebEx. That's not a common thing to do. But it has changed a lot. I think for everybody, for men to accept women in positions of uh, leadership and positions of professions that were in the past more dominated by men. But I think we still have a long way to go. I can tell you, when I graduated from my engineering degree, we were 75 people in my class, and only 5 women. The rest were all men. A couple of years ago, I had to travel around the world to do some training for a specific platform that we released in my company. And I had to meet with different group of my company's employees around the world. And I noticed how different cultures and how different countries, how the culture is around women working in STEM, right? There were areas where I went or countries where I went that you would only see in a group of 30 people, you would only see one or two women. They were really shy, they would never talk. And then there were areas when I went that more than half of the group were women. So really dominated by women in positions that are really tough to be in the industry. So that was a really learning experience for me to see how other countries around the world see women in the STEM areas. It was really, really interesting.
Would anybody else like to add on?
I guess I could say something about it, but I think it was like in 8th grade in my FTC team. Well, when I first went into robotics, I didn't really think that like, oh, I'm a woman, so I'm going to be treated differently here, or I need to prove myself differently. I just kind of like went with it, and my team treated everybody equally. But I was at like South Super Regionals for FTC, and I was the drive coach of my team. So drive coach, for context, basically like you're the lead strategist and you're there with your drivers on the field with the robot, and you just tell them what to do and they execute whatever you say. So we were doing really, really well this year, and we won the match, and we walked off, and this entire team was just standing there, and I was like, oh, I don't know what team this is. So I just walked past them, but they were like, wait, it's so great to see like a woman up there. It's so great to see a girl on drive team. And I was like, what? Like, I was so lost. I was like, why are they talking like what? So afterwards, I was like, okay, that was really, really weird. And even my team was confused, but I looked at the competition, and there's not a single other girl on drive team at the competition I was, where there was like over 100 teams or something. So that kind of opened my eyes to like, I've gotten a lot of privileges, I think, in my position to be able to be on drive team, to be able to do all these things without discrimination against me. So I kind of decided to make that a priority as well. So when I got to high school, I like started noticing like, oh, maybe girls are not leading as many projects as guys, or our team is disproportionate. And so I think with our team effort, like last year especially, we had like a full women leadership. Like our build director was a girl, president and outreach director, Anna we're all women in STEM. So it was really great to go from like not a single person on drive team besides me being a girl to like over half of our team now is women in STEM. So it was just a really empowering journey for me. And I hope to take that to college as well.
That's awesome to hear, honestly, because I feel like that's what drives my programs is being able to take, because I take girls from 4th grade up until the 11th grade. We've got mentors from NASA, Jacobs, SpaceX, Boeing, Hopkins, Arizona State University, Wisconsin. I mean, we've got women from all over the country. And I think it's representation is such a huge deal for young girls, but also for young boys to see that it's okay. You're going to work with everyone to come to an objective that has something successful in STEM. And then to include all aspects of STEM as well. A lot of our girls that we have come in, they think aerospace is all about engineering, but we have to tell them, if you don't have your scientist, if you don't have your biologist, if you don't have your food tasters who are sending the right kind of guacamole up to the space station, none of these things, all of these things take people, and that, you as a young girl can go into these professions when you get older, and make a huge difference by just having a certain job that you have a passion for. So that's really awesome to hear that you got recognition for being a girl, because I mean, that's the biggest thing I talk about is for them to see other women in those roles being successful. Women who are, I like to bring in women who are, one, they show a passion, girls who are just doing internships, who are in the middle of their careers, but also who are retired, to get a wide array of aspects of what your career can look like from many different levels. So I think being able to bring in such as us for this experience here, these things weren't happening before. And if they were, they're on a smaller scale and you really didn't hear about it. And it's really been awesome to be a part of these different types of panelists. to talk to young students so that you can help them to understand, okay, what is it that I need to be doing next to be as successful or to be a leader in my career.
Mrs. Notchuk, do you have any answer to what you've seen change?
My changes are probably more on the negative side of the spectrum. I went from, in high school, I had a very small ratio of females to males. So there would be like 20, 25 kids in a class. And there would be like at most 3 girls. But ironically, like I got along very well with like all the guys in my class. Like I didn't feel less than at all. And when I came to college, we had a significantly better gender ratio. I was very surprised walking into like the lecture hall and like the first day and seeing like half of like these 200 kids being girls. And then I got 2 lab partners who were both guys who did not think that I could program as well as I could. So it's nice to see more women, but there's still some ways to go, unfortunately.
Definitely. Okay. We'll move on to the next question. How was your experience throughout high school? Were you guys in any like STEM related activities, or did you really enjoy any classes, as like most of our audience are high school students?
In high school, I really wasn't into science. I mean, just to be completely honest, it's interesting because I met, if anybody's ever heard of the astronaut Joe Acaba, I met him at an event, and he was one of the first education astronauts that went into space. And that's when I realized, okay, just because I don't do STEM or I wasn't interested in STEM in high school doesn't mean that STEM is not in my future. Like, he was fantastic in workshop. Like, he did workshop, but he didn't do much. He hated science. And then when he became an educator, he realized, oh, I can do something more in regards to science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I can be an astronaut. So I really don't like that sometimes, you get this feeling that I have to be the best at biology. I have to be the best at chemistry. You may not have those skills right now to be the best at those things. I'm not saying don't try hard, but don't beat yourself up on the fact that you are not the best at physics. I'm not the best at physics, and I now get to teach kids about how physics is fantastic and how you can learn things, learn about radiation, and how you can learn about filtration systems and things like that. And those things I wasn't good at. I was not good at those things. So I mean, in high school, I wasn't into it. I was a big sports girl. I was very big into, I did a couple of like groups that dealt with like helping students with drug addictions and stuff like that. Like, I was very big into that. I wanted to be a therapist when I was in high school. Before I went to that pharmacology class, I was like, my goal in life is to help people be better. And I mean, I do that now, but I didn't think I was going to be in the STEM world. So there was no science. Yeah, no. My teachers, they probably look at me now and say, what? Like, how are you in STEM? So.
Mrs. Musani, do you have any experiences from high school? Because I know you had to choose from a young age in 10th grade.
Yeah, mine was straightforward. Either I need to go into engineering or I need to go into medical field. So I said like, okay, I don't think I can cut up people. I said like, no, not that for me. So I said like, okay, let me just try the engineering stuff. So the first year we had like, the subjects we had were like electronics. I have to do like electronics lab, like with all the connectors and all that stuff. And then I had like electrical, which is completely different. And then I had mechanical. And the best part in my first year is I never wore a pant and a shirt. I used to wear like the Indian traditional Indian dress, like a hometown, like a small town girl with a half sari and all that. And I was like, okay, I'm like pushed into like with minis and midis and like whatnot. I'm like, okay, this is not for me. Then I used to come back and just my I used to live with my uncle, like my paternal uncle's house. So I used to curse my one of my cousin who put me through into that college, who got me into that college, and I said like, "Are you nuts? You want me to wear a khaki pants and a shirt? I look like a bus driver. Are you serious, buddy?" And every Monday and I think Wednesdays, I used to have the lab. So if it is a mechanical lab or instrumentation lab or electronics, electrical, any of things that have a machines with it. And we used to have like a carpentry. I used to love that lab. So for that, I never used to bug myself wearing the khaki pants and shirt. So I used to say like, and then we used to have like a foundry where you make like different, with a piece of metal, you have to make a tool out of it. So we used to make like a needles and all that kind of stuff. So I used to have like two boys, like they used to make a group. So we had like only like 6 or 7 girls out of 45, 50 students. So 2 boys and a girl were the team to do that foundry lab or the carpentry, because you have to lift heavy machines and you have to lift a 50-pound hammer to hit the metal. You have to like burn it, like you have to make it like to hit it. So both the boys were just looking at me. Can you lift the hammer? I said, like, are you guys kidding me? They never used to touch the hammer. It used to be me hitting it all the time. And my professor used to say, okay, you're not taking any of the finals. You passed the lab. Just go. I was like, are you serious? They said, like, none of your partners are lifting the hammer. That's the only thing I need to know. If you can lift a hammer and hit it. So that was a fun part. And then like we used to have the only thing I used to curse was wearing that khaki pants and shirt. That was horrible for 2 years. So I used to skip the labs the day I'm supposed to wear the dress. I used to skip that labs. I said like, I'm not going into that lab because they're not going to let me in anyway. So then like in the second year, I didn't have a choice because I have to wear 4 days a week. So I can't skip all my labs for 4 days. So I said like, okay, I'm getting in now. So we used to be like teased all the time on the local buses. We used to, because the bus driver and the conductor, they both used to wear the same color dress. And they used to call us like, can you issue us a ticket? I was like, oh my God. So it was fun riding the bus and arguing with the men on the bus saying that, okay, you're wearing a shirt and me too. So it was that's the whole thing that I enjoyed. And I still love going back to my college. I still, that 4 years was the fun I had. I don't think I'll get it back.
What about you, Ms. Nachev? Did you do anything in high school related to STEM?
I kind of jumped off the deep end with computer science in high school. I took, I think, every computer science course my school offered, with the exception of graphics. I was part of the Technology Student Association. I was a captain of the math team senior year. Like, I did everything that I could get my hands on. And then I came to college and I was like, cool, I'm taking classes. I'm going to be in one space organization and I'm not going to jump off the deep end anymore because there's so much more to do now. I say knowing full well I'm also doing machine learning research. But I just think because it's something that I really, really enjoy, I pile a lot on my plate. And so when it works out, it's really, really nice. And when it doesn't, you have to take a step back and look at it and be like, oh, this is where I went wrong. and learn from that and continue.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next question. What is a goal of yours that you haven't achieved yet? Or if you have achieved it, what was it?
I guess I'll go. My big goal is to work for Johnson Space Center. Their education outreach team is incredibly hard to get on because once people get hired, they don't leave. We actually had one person at Space Center Houston that she got in, and they actually created a job for her to go work on their education team. So I'm just always looking on that job site, waiting and looking and waiting. Got all my connections going and just waiting for a position to open up so that I could be a part of the huge outreach team that they have there, so that I can be a part of the bigger company. Not saying I don't love Space Center Houston. I love Space Center Houston. We get to call ourselves NASA sometimes because the kids love it, even though we're not. We're just not. They always ask, "Oh, did you guys have to shut down during the shutdown?" I'm like, no, we're not government owned, which means our paychecks are not what NASA people get paid. Just remember that, guys. Okay, museum work, it's cool if you have the passion for it, but like your robotics mom said, you got to make sure that you can pay the bills, okay? Because things are going. But yeah, I would say that's my biggest goal, is to be able to work with that team because they are absolutely phenomenal.
Harushi, you're pretty young compared to the rest of the group, so I'm assuming that you have something that you have your eye set on.
Okay, like a STEM related goal. I mean, right now, I guess the goal is getting into college and going. So that's kind of the main thing because it's application season. So that's what I'm focusing on. I guess that's my goal. I want to get into a good college. And yeah, I don't have any, I guess, long-term goals that I'm thinking of. I'm just taking it as it comes, I guess. Something that I think Miss Walker said before that really resonated with me was like, when you're not like perfect at something, you just decide not to do it at all. And I feel like in high school, I really encountered that with a lot of different things where it was like a roadblock where there's so many smart and talented people in my high school, of course. And I wasn't as smart or as talented in those classes. So I felt like, am I in the right field? Am I doing the right thing? So because of that, I've kind of like, and during this pandemic, I've kind of like reflected and been like, what exactly do I want to do? And so I guess I'm still in that process of figuring out what I want to do, where I want to go. So I don't have like a set goal as of now, I guess. Yeah.
Mrs. Milan, do you have any long-term goal that you've set?
The only thing I can think of right now, so in my time working in engineering, I have worked with many industries, many different type of industries, but there are two type of industries that I really admire, I guess you could tell, and I would like to work with in any capacity in those two industries, and I've never been able to. And one is the health industry, the medical industry, and another one is the space. I'm actually a big space fan. I even have a telescope. I'm waiting for tomorrow when you can see Saturn and Jupiter together. So I'm a big fan of anything related to space. I follow everything that NASA and all the SpaceX and all the companies do, and I would like to. That's like my dream, to work in somehow in that area one day. So let's see. Let's see if it happens.
And I will comment on that. Okay, so I feel like my story is so unorthodox because I wasn't even into space when I started working here. At my interview, they ask you, what's your favorite topic? And I was like, I'm an English fan. I like English. I wanted to be a therapist. And the only reason I started working here at Space Center Houston was one of my college professors saw me do a presentation, and she came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, Space Center Houston has an education department, and I think you would be fantastic in teaching kids about STEM." And I was like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. And she was like, no, like the way that you just talked about brain injuries, and I felt like you knew more about all of this stuff than I did, and everybody else, and everybody was drawn in. She was like, you should go and do it. And so I went and applied, and literally they were like, what's your favorite subject? And I was like, it's not science right now. Like, that's just not my thing. I thought it was, it's not. And they're like, that's okay, we'll get you into it. And now that I'm in this field, I'm like, holy moly, like I did not know that all of this existed. Because when I was a kid, I was into dinosaurs, I was into the ocean. At one point, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and like I wasn't into space. I wasn't looking up into the skies. So your goals, like they are going to change over time for sure. Like I never dreamed of having a goal of saying, I want to work at NASA. Like I knew NASA was down the street. You know, I had that luxury of having it down the street, but I'd only gone one time. I didn't know anybody that worked there. So yeah, but yeah, definitely tomorrow, guys, go look up outside at the sky, because Jupiter and Saturn are going to be real close.
And then Ms. Nachev, since you're a pretty young college student, do you have any long-term goals for yourself?
I would also like to work at NASA. Part of the great thing about college, the computer science program at Rice, is that you learn a lot of general concepts about computer science, so you can work in just about any field that you want, which is great because there's so many different computer science fields. So would definitely love to apply it to space and work at NASA or any other space-related company.
All right, so what are some common misconceptions that people have about STEM, and how can we combat these misconceptions? I think some of you guys, I know Ms. Walker has been talking about maybe if a subject is too hard, that shouldn't stop you. But yeah, are there any other misconceptions you'd like to touch upon?
Absolutely. STEM is in your backyard. I mean, it's everywhere. There's actually a really good video. I'm going to try to find it and put the link into this chat. And it's about a guy that goes around and he's looking at the effects of radiation around you. So people don't, they don't think that these things are affecting them every day, but he's explaining how, radiation is in bananas and it's in when you're flying a plane. And people don't understand that these are the things that are just around you every day. These aren't just subjects that are in a book that you learn about that you're just supposed to, eat and then regurgitate. These are things that you have to, really comprehend and understand. How am I going to be able to use that to change the world, to do things in the real world, like Miss Milan is doing, or like your robotics mom is doing? They are out there doing this work. And so it's important for you guys to, when you're in your classes, if you have to ask for extra examples, ask your teachers for extra examples. Look at how they're using these examples with this work. When it comes to biology, when it comes to chemistry, because these are things that are out there. They're getting them from working people in the real world. Because when you get out there, you're going to have to know these things. You're not going to have a chemistry book next to you. You may have a calculator. People say you won't have a calculator, but you will probably have a calculator with you. You'll have your phone or something like that. But it's very important to remember that you're going to use these things that you're learning. So you're not just learning them to pass the test, you're learning them to be successful. And so you want to make sure you're taking that experience and looking outside of school for other experiences to really pack into that toolbox. Now, Ms. Gupta, you talked about soft skills. Soft skills is so important. These are the things that tack on to that educational piece. And it's like using those two things together will really help you to be successful in the future.
Yeah, I think that many people see STEM or any STEM areas as maybe really hard, really complicated, really rigid. Like you need to be very, very good at math, very, very good at physics, or that kind of thing. And I think sometimes people don't see that STEM is also a great way to channel your creativity. A creative person can do so many different things in the STEM field. You have no idea. If you write code, for example, in my world, in the digital world, if you like to write code, there are so many different ways that you can write a code that will execute the same action. I can do it one way and you can do it one way and another people will do it in a completely different way. There's so many different things that you can create. It's really exciting. For me, programming is more like a hobby. I write code for everything. Even for my personal stuff, I keep track of my finances and my expenses with a macro in Excel. So you can be so creative. If you are a creative person, STEM is really a good area for you. Sometimes people when they think of creativity, they think of arts and music and that kind of stuff. And of course, that's the best example for creativity, but you can also channel your creativity in the STEM area, really in anything you do. If you're a civil engineer, when you are designing a building, if you're a mechanical engineer, when you're designing some type of engine process or mechanism, you can be so creative. There's so many things that you can do. You can add, you can change things around. If you are, like I said, if you are writing code, it's like the perfect thing. And it's specific for the digital world. Right now, every area that you go into, there's going to be some app, some digital area. You guys yourself, every day, what you do, you buy through Amazon, you tweet, you Instagram, all of that is a digital world. So there can be so many different things that you can do when you get into this field. So you have to also look at it as a way to channel your creativity.
Can I add on to that really quickly? There's someone I know who was going into fashion design, and she was into fashion. Like, she was a fantastic artist, super into fashion, and she got contacted by NASA to help construct the outside material. It was like a thermal blanket for one of their satellites that were going up. She was like, I'm not into science. Like, what are you talking about? But she now does that for a living. I mean, like she was saying, you could literally use those creative juices to get into STEM. Like, there are chefs that are making food for astronauts right now. So STEM is not just those core 4 letters. They are incorporated throughout each other for a lot of different things.
Me going back to the future goal. Well, Nia wanted me to say this. I'm going to send her to Mars and I'm going to live on the Earth. So I'm good for now.
Why did you out me like that, Mom?
What, really?
I'm in the next room.
So I don't know, like, me and Nia can be in the NASA center every day. Like, I used to be there with her for her when she was doing volunteer at NASA Johnson, like the Space Center, Houston. She used to work for the STEM summer camp as a teen volunteer. So I used to drive her 6:30 in the morning. She never woke up at 6 or 5:30. Just for that, she used to wake up 6:30. So from Katy to like Space Center, it used to be like 45 minutes to an hour drive in the morning on 45 and through the downtown, I-10 and through the downtown. So it used to be like a 12-hour drive every day. So 6:30 we leave and we come back like around 7 in the night. So I used to sit in the parking lot. I didn't take my vacation off for those 6 weeks. So I used to sit in the parking lot from 8 a.m. I used to log in with my hotspot on until noon and then go into the cafeteria, just walk around, have my own space tour, like center tour for myself. every day I used to sit and watch the movies that go on the screen, the IMAX screen. And like, I used to tell her like, okay, today I saw this. I said like, how many times did you see that? I said like, every day I'm seeing the same thing because they show the same movie over there. So I said like, I don't mind seeing it. So we go in and then she's done at 4 o'clock and she doesn't want to come back at 4. So she's like, can I just walk around and we go on the tram tour every day again and again? I said like, they're going to just give me a job here saying that you are here every day, just work for us. And then Paul used to tell me like the education director, I guess, like Paul. So he saw me in the cafeteria. I said like, I see you here every day. You're Neha's mom, right? I said like, yeah. He goes like, I think next year, if you're coming for the next summer, if she's volunteering again, I'm going to have your desk next to my office and you can sit there to work. I said like, that's cool. But because of the pandemic, like they said, like they are not doing the summer camp last summer. So I missed that opportunity now.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. But now we're gonna transition into our last question, and we would like everybody to answer this. And is what advice would you give to younger girls or younger students entering this field or thinking about it?
Well, I guess I go first. uh, I would say, don't be afraid to confront a challenge. I love a challenge. Um, when they tell me I cannot do something, believe me, I'll do it. I'm gonna do it even more. So I think is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show people what you really want to do in life. I think it's great to work on something that you really love. It's very important to find that passion of yours and make it your, when you work on what you really like, it's not like a job anymore, right? It's a passion. It's really fulfilling. So just don't be afraid to say to follow this path that you want, and don't be afraid of a challenge.
I would give the advice to be honest with yourself. Be honest about your abilities, be honest about what you need to learn, and what opportunities to take a hold of. I think one of my biggest challenges was being like, oh, I don't need to learn anything else about this because I know. No, you're learning every day as a person, as an adult, as a career woman, as a student. Life is about learning. So be open to learn from those around you, because there is always an opportunity for you to better yourself, in the world, in your career, whatever. I would also say to have grit. So if you've never heard the word grit, basically grit means that you have the ability to see an objective and to have passion and desire to reach that objective, and to hold on to that passion and desire, to not want to give up so easily. That is such a monumental thing, because nowadays people just give up so quickly. That was probably one of my biggest mistakes that I made in my earlier years, my college years, is just giving up so quickly. I don't know where I would be now if I had finished my chemistry degree. My goal was to be a nuclear pharmacist. I mean, I love what I do now, but there's no saying. So I just, I really liked the advice that Miss Musani gave about how she kind of chose something at the beginning. I love that, that she had her passion, that she was able to choose something that she really enjoyed. If you see something you're doing outside of school and there's a way to incorporate it, like with Miss Milan and coding and her coding her financials, I might ask you to come do my taxes later. Thank you. Then, really put those things into play. What are those soft skills that I can use? How can I take my toolbox and travel with that throughout the rest of my educational journey? Because you're like Arushi said, you're going to continue to learn things. You're going to keep changing. You're going to have new goals. New things are going to come up. So, you know, holding on to that grit and holding on to those soft skills are going to take you through to succeed in those things.
For me, it will be, you like something to do and your job doesn't allow you to do what you like to do, you just do it at home. Just so now the goal is like, for me, probably like I was supposed to be retired after working for 10 years. Now it's been like 28 years, I guess. I said, like, when am I retiring? I need my retirement money out so I can just get, I said, like, not another like 17 years. I said, like, seriously, I have to work for another 17 years to retire and get my 401k out of it. I said, like, I don't mind paying my 30%, whatever the penalty, I'm going to take my 401k out pretty soon because I need my money to do the passion I have to work on some stuff. So one thing I need to say is, when you guys were all off and me and Richard used to come in and do some work, and Richa used to come in. So one of the Sundays that Niharika was not coming in and she had to build that motor, whatever that you guys put and solder it. So she goes like, you know how to do it, just go and do it and then show me the picture. I'll tell you whether it's right or wrong. So I went in and I was just trying to do it. I was like, okay, then I did everything right. So back here at home, one of the wires burnt out in my fryer. So the electrical fryer I had. So I asked Nia, she was leaving to college in 2 days. I said, like, I need to solder this wire. So what do I do? She goes like, order something on Amazon. So we ordered it. And then she left. She goes like, you know how to do it. You did in the RSC, right? In the Bay. I said like, okay, let me do it. So now my fryer works fine. So now I can fix my own electrical stuff in the house. Or else I should have thrown out the pan completely into trash and buy a new one. I said like, no, I fixed it. So she goes like, okay, let's do the garage into an electrical workshop. So that's the main goal for next summer we have. We are turning the garage and like throwing everything out, the cars in the driveway. I said like, we need the garage. So my older daughter, like Priyanka, she goes like, Mom, I don't want you both do anything, workshops in the house. So they get a shed outside and do it outside the house. So now I have to get a shed out. So we are trying to build the shed in the spring, and then probably we'll have a workshop in the shed. So let's see how far it goes.
Mrs. Milan, do you have any advice for any young people interested in STEM?
Me? Well, yes, I was actually going to mention that you have to be open to possibilities. You know, when like I said, my degree is in electronic engineering, and to be honest, I have never worked in electronics since I graduated. So I think college gives you the tools, right, and maybe the knowledge, the basic knowledge, but how you apply it is a completely different thing. It doesn't matter that because your degree is on, or you go a specific way, like in my case, I went through electronics, you won't be able to do another type of job. The possibilities are infinite. So be prepared, you know, be prepared to just work on things that you never even imagined, that you never even thought that you would do. Knowledge, college is just preparation for you to do whatever you want later. I think it's incredible what you can do with a degree in STEM. So don't think that you're gonna just go a certain way. Things change, goals change, even technology changes every day. So it's you have to be very open to possibilities.
Ms. Nacho, do you have any advice for aspiring STEM students?
My main piece of advice would be never think that you're less than, because there will always be people that look at you and say that you're a female and are like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand how to do this. And that's not true. You know, you learn, you know how to do things. And no matter what other people think of you, that doesn't determine your worth or your knowledge.
All right, Arishi?
I guess my advice, I mean, I guess most people here are my age, so I guess advice that I would give was just to not put yourself in boxes, I think. Like, I think I really capitalized off my robotics experience by trying new things in the club. Like, first year I started off like milling in the back shop, and then like slowly I started like prototyping with people, and then I was like our strategy person for drive team again. So I think just if I had started off and just said, okay, I'm just like milling, I'm just going to be the machinist of the team, then I wouldn't really be where I am today. So I think not putting yourself in boxes and letting yourself take the opportunities as they come to you, as I think people have already said, but I think that's like the main thing that I would say is try new things, even if they're outside of your comfort zone, because it will be worth it in the end.
All right, so now we're moving on to audience questions. So audience members, you can post your questions in the chat and we'll ask the speakers them. You can pose them to a specific speaker or the whole group. Or if you'd like to unmute and say it too, you can do that as well. Okay, so Lakshya asks, what is your favorite part about working in a STEM job? So those are my non-students, then you can answer that question.
The challenge, the thrill, back when I was in Venezuela, I had to work with my customers. The software that I worked with was related to bringing real-time data from the process into the user computers where they would be able to see everything that was going on in the plant without having to go to the control room or having to interfere with any of the process control software. So when I was able to install everything and see the face of my customer when the first time that he saw the data coming in to his computer through maybe you would think, oh, but that's nothing. Nowadays, everybody can do that. 25 years ago, that was, like a novelty. But when you see the satisfaction in other people's faces, to see that what you're doing has brought them a solution to a problem they had, is really, really great in anything you do. When you can see that what you do is actually helping somebody do their job or improve whatever aspect of their life, is the best part of my job. At least I can say that from my point of view.
I can definitely agree with her on the being able to see people's faces light up. I deal with kids, and I deal with kids that many times don't get out of their own neighborhoods. I mean, they're living in low economic areas where they don't get the opportunity to come in and deal with a lot of the different materials that we have at the center, meaning before the pandemic hit. And so being able to see their faces when they first understand what block coding is, and, making their first, I don't know, PowerPoint being able to do a presentation with another group of students, being able to get up in front of a group of students and talk about their experience. That is what is the best part of my job, is to see these girls grow so that they can be successful in a career. It may not be STEM for them, but for me to see them thriving in something that they didn't have confidence in when they first came in makes everything worthwhile.
Okay, and actually, I have a question for you guys. Are there any upcoming advancements in the STEM field that you're looking forward to? Like, I know SpaceX is up and coming. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
So Perseverance has a helicopter on it. And I'm so excited to see how something is going to fly itself on Mars when we're not there. I'm super excited to see how that works. So I'm waiting for it to land in February so I can see what happens with that. Because I was working with one of the technologists at JPL who was in charge of, she was in charge of the seismometer that was on InSight that landed a couple of years ago. So she would send me these like videos of Mars wind, like the sound they were getting from InSight. And that was really cool to listen to. And so now I'm like, if we've got a helicopter out there, y'all, it's going to be on. We're going to be building some houses pretty soon. Okay. Get ready. Get ready. And I saw somebody wanted me to introduce the programs at Space Center Houston, which I have no problem doing that. So we actually have 5 different programs. We start them off really young with our 5th and 6th graders, or 4th and 5th graders, which you guys are none of those. And then we go into more of our like intermediate high school kids. You're all high school, correct? This is all high school kiddos? See?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're all in high school.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I think like some of the programs y'all would really enjoy doing, if you've ever done before, ever heard of us, we've got Space University Bridge. And this is where we like bring you guys in, and our high school students get to learn about scuba diving. You get to go to JSC and take a lot of tours, go down on the floor at Building 9, look at where the astronauts do a lot of training. And that program is all about teamwork. So when you get out into the real world, you're more than likely going to be working with a team or group of people where you're going to have to be able to communicate with each other. You're going to have to be able to work together to have a specific goal that your company wants you to be successful in. It's not just about you. And so that's what this program is about. It's about being able to create a habitat, being able to build a rocket from scratch, being able to understand about coding, which I'm sure a lot of you already know about. And there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. We also have like our mentor cafe program, where we bring in women from around the country. You get to sit and chat with them once a month. You talk about the work they're doing. A lot of the times they'll like take you on tours of their laboratories or kind of show you some of the work that they've been doing. And this is where you kind of build some of those soft skills that you may need some help on. So we learn about time management, organization skills, communication, how to do research, how to start with research, how to do presentations. What is it going to look like when you get to college? How do I start looking for scholarships? What's going to be the best option for me along those lines? And then one of our most recent programs that we just ended is called scientific research. So this is when we bring in a lot of research postdoc fellows that are like at Hopkins, and they come out and they help with science fair projects, or they help students with any kind of research that they want to do. So we actually had a student that there were 2 5th graders actually, which was our youngest kids we had in that program, which was really cool. They wanted to understand what it was like to grow plants on the International Space Station. So they got in contact with a astronaut's wife who got in contact with her husband who's on the space station to send down noise so that they could figure out what is it like to grow a plant with space station noise and what is it like to grow a plant with normal like earth noise. So we try to make it really cool and innovative and authentic so that you guys can really get a chance to see what kind of different opportunities and ways that you can, you know, learn new things about STEM. So I put my email in there, and I'll send you guys a link if you want to tag in on any of our stuff that we have. Some stuff is on site, some of it is virtual. Some of the virtual stuff that we do have, I send out materials so you can still be a part of the program. But yeah, just let me know. We are including any and everybody.
Yeah, before we close, we'd like our panelists, if you have any things you want to promote or tell the group about before you close, any programs, go ahead and share it now. I think there was a SEDS program.
So I'm running the SEDS Rice team for the NASA, it's called Lunabotics competition. And it's essentially you build a mining rover for the moon and you test it in a simulated environment at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And so that's the project that I'm currently leading. We have a few others in the works. Like there's another NASA competition called, I think, like the Human Rover, where you build like a frame and you have people in it who like power the rover essentially, and it moves through like a simulated obstacle course of some like alien environment. And then we also have our OWLSat, which is a 10-centimeter CubeSat, which we won a competition with NASA in order to have them launch it into space for us. And we're going to be sending it into orbit to measure how UV radiation affects orbital decay. So, and you can actually get your name on a little chip if I can find the link.
Do you know when it's being launched, when they're launching that?
I don't know if we have a set launch time. COVID kind of messed up a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think sometime fall 2021.
I also know NASA they do a lot of work where you can send up projects on the ISS. I mean, the ISS has so much research that they're doing. And I would highly recommend, when I talk about how STEM is integrated in real world, look up how many ideas that have been tested at NASA on the space station that we're using today. Like the firefighters, like the gear that they wear, that's from NASA. Ziploc bags, that's from NASA. Water filtration, that's from NASA. I mean, like not filtration, but with the, you know, the percentage of cleanliness that it is. I mean, there's so many things that come out of research that you just look at, like barcodes on foods. You didn't know that. I didn't know that when I started working here. I was like, what? I was like, that doesn't even make sense. But I mean, there's so many different things. One, that you can go into, and then two, that you're like, I can't imagine if I had found something as a researcher and then found out that they've mass distributed it around the entire world. And I'm like, what? That's that little thing that I love, the passion that I had is now making a huge change for society. You know, that's how fast these things happen. So yeah, absolutely.
I guess I'll go ahead and promo robotics. if you are in high school right now, freshman through senior, whatever age group you are, you don't need any experience. Your school probably has a robotics team, and I would highly recommend joining it, even if you're not interested in engineering, because there's a lot of things that robotics has taught me, like I was talking about soft skills before. Also things like actually building a robot, manufacturing your own components, putting it together, going to competition, working with like hundreds of people. Like I think it's great exposure for any STEM field you want to go into. So definitely check with your high school. If you go to Seven Lakes, we're the Robo Spartans. You should definitely join the team if you can. So yeah, thank you.
I'm going to share the closing slide, and if y'all have any specific questions that you want to ask the panelists too, you can stay after. Oh, is it working, or I don't know if my Zoom has glitched.
That's working.
Okay, thank you.
So there's the QR code for the SEDS Rice Facebook, and then this is just like our robotic social medias if you're interested in that.
Thank you to all of you who've come and attended the whole meeting. It's been really nice to hear everything from the panelists and all the advice that they've given us as well.
Yeah, a really big thank you to our speakers. It was so lovely hearing all of your responses and just hearing about your experience. It's quite inspiring and motivating. Oh, also, we recorded this whole thing, so we're probably going to upload it to our YouTube or I think like the Instagram TV feature, whatever they have. We'll probably upload it to our robotics Instagram.
It should also be on our team website.
Oh yeah.
Which is team4639.org. Right there, it's on the slide. Yeah.
Does anybody who stayed after have any specific questions that they'd like to ask?